Hi, welcome back to my channel. This video should be airing on Father's Day weekend, so happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And I think that this unplug video will really fit in with what fathers try to do, and that is protect and prepare and help their family be ready for things that might be coming up. And if you watch this channel anytime at all, you know that we are here to unplug from the craziness and all the headlines and all of that going out there. There are certainly plenty of videos if you want to watch about those things. But this is to kind of forget all of that for a few minutes and get away and just do fun things. But at the same time, we don't bury our heads in the sand. We don't pretend like they're not there, that the prices aren't sky high, all of that. And so today, as we unplug and get away, I thought it would be really great to just show you some ideas and maybe get your brain juices going for what you might want to do at your house to be prepared in the case that maybe there is a time when your power goes down. All right, we're gonna try this again. I filmed the whole video that I was doing and I realized that the mic was going in and out the whole time. So about half of what I filmed you could hear. So we're gonna do it again. So as I was saying in that very beginning clip, you may have to leave your home for, like up here with us, we might get a short notice on a wildfire and we don't have very much time and we have to grab our stuff and we have to go. And so it'd be really great to have that ready. Where you are, there's all kinds of things that could happen that may just be something that you have to go for a day or so, or maybe a water pipe main breaks and there's no water coming to your house for 3 or 4 days. Things like that. It's really, really a good idea to have some things put back and be prepared for all those things that can happen in life because you just don't know. So this way you can have your family be ready to go. It's not so stressful. You've already got your plan. You just pull it out. And we live in a small house. The downstairs is only 700 square feet. We do have a loft we sleep in, but it's not a large house. And we have our things stored in there for us. It doesn't take a lot of space to do this. Of course, you can do it really large if you want to, but you don't have to. You can have yourself prepared, and that's what we're going to go over today, is just some of those things to think about that you might want to do for your family. One of the first things you want to think about when preparing for your family, even if you're just going to be going camping, or if you want to be sure that if something would happen with the water supply, a water main would burst, anything like that, the rule of thumb is to have a gallon of water a day per person in your family. So you can see I have these here, and I turned them this way so you could see this is a 6-gallon one here. And it's very thin, it's very slender, so you can even put those behind couches and things like that against a wall. Nobody will even see them. They're out of the way. You're not tripping over them all the time. And so that would be a great way. Even if you start with about 3 days worth of water per person, that would be a wonderful way to do that. And then another thing you can do, we got these here at Costco. They hold quite a bit of water, and you can keep those in your car. You can keep them as you're traveling around. So if something would happen while you're driving around, you have water for your family. So that's another option to keep in mind. A second really important item to consider when you're thinking about being prepared for your family for any type of emergency that may come around, or even going camping or going on road trips and you're trying to save money. We all need to do that nowadays with the prices and things out there. That would be some type of power source. Now this one here that we have is called the Jackery. There's all kinds out there. Blue Eddies are very, very popular as well. This one's a smaller one. It's a 500. You can do your research and see what you think you might need, but you can get them big enough that they can run your refrigerators and things like this. This one we have, I showed it on my Utah video. We have a car refrigerator that I'm going to show in a minute, and this will absolutely run that, no problem at all. It should run like a Traeger smoker, something like that. But you can plug it in. As you see, it comes with a plug, and it plugs in there, and you can charge things with it, but you can also charge it from a wall charger like we did on our trip. which was in the hotel, and so that way it's ready to go every day. Or this right here behind here, now again talking about space and storing it in your house, that is the solar panel that I'll show you set up here in a moment. But that does not take very much space at all when you're just having it stored. Look how thin that is. So that you can go right against a wall, go in a corner, doesn't take much space at all. But then when you have it set up, if you're out camping or somewhere that doesn't have electricity, you can charge your power source with your solar panels every day. And then you can keep your cell phones charged up and things. This is what it looks like set up. That took me about 1.5 minutes to do that. You just pull it apart and set it up in the back. And it has a cord that comes with it, and that plugs right into the input on the Jackery. And then it will show you. So right now it's receiving 75 watts in from the solar panel. And you can just leave it there and charge it, and then that way you can have it with you to use for whatever you need to charge up throughout the day. Moving on to what you might also need to be prepared for emergencies or for quick times out or even for trips on the road or camping, you need to have some way to keep your cool things cool. And if you are going to be gone for a while, you might want to have even milk and things like that in there. So first, there is the option of coolers. Everybody, I'm sure, has seen these. They are everywhere. You can get giant ones, you can get little ones, you can get the styrofoam kind, you can get the ones like this that are a little bigger, or you can get the really expensive ones that are supposed to keep it cool for several days. I mean, if you're just going for a short trip, you can always do these kind of things where it's got the insulated bag, and that helps a little bit. But the situation with these that we decided was a downfall for us, and so the reason that we've switched, and I'll show you in a minute what we've switched to, is you have to have something to keep in there to keep it cool. And so yes, you can load it up with ice and things like that, and that will certainly help, and it should last for a while. But if you're going to be gone for several days, if you didn't have access to get that ice, if something happened where you couldn't get to the stores were shut down, or you're not near a store, you can't get to one, your car is broken down and you're stuck out at your house and there's a big storm. We've had things like that. We lived in the Midwest, and if you know the Midwest, it is extremely hot and humid in the summers. And there was a storm, and we lived out in the rural area. And so the electricians couldn't get to us for several days because they were working on the cities first. And so we stayed out in our tent for several days. Well, in those situations, you may run out of ice. You may not be able to use your water to make more ice because you can't use your refrigerator to freeze it. So we felt like that was a limitation that we wanted to get rid of, and we wanted an option that we could use that would be sustainable. A car refrigerator, but you don't have to use it in the car. You can use it on the road. It's very lightweight. You do see that it plugs in here, and you'll notice I have it plugged into my Jackery. And so then I would just turn that on, and there it's charging it. So then you could turn it on and you could use it that way. And you can use this as a freezer or a refrigerator. I demonstrated this in my Utah trip video, so I won't spend too much time doing that. But it's got a really nice size space in there. Tells you what to keep your things at. Super simple to use. And we had figured out when we were going on our Utah trip that even a day or two out on the road, or away from your cooking facilities or whatever, this would pay for itself, because you don't have to go to restaurants. You don't have to spend $30 or $40 a meal. And you can put the things in there that you know what you're eating. It's already ready to go, and you can have it in there for your family. So that's what we're using now to keep things refrigerated. And because we can keep this charged up, like I showed you, then this can keep that running all the time, and we don't have to worry about trying to chase down ice and keeping things cold enough. Moving on from keeping things cold, you're also probably going to need to heat things up. Even if it's just your coffee in the morning, you're going to want that hot water. If you've already brought your water with you, you've got some coffee that you're bringing, then you need a way to heat that up. And there's several ways to do that. This one here is called a car oven. We showed that on our trip to Utah as well. We were staying in hotels when we were driving quite a bit, so we knew that this would be good for us. And it also has a plug just like the car refrigerator, and it's attached right to it, and you just put that right in the Jackery or whatever power source you have, and you can heat something up. So as you're driving and you know you're going to want to eat in a couple of hours, you just stick your food right in here, and then you zip that up, plug it into the Jackery or plug it into your power source as you're driving along, and when it's time to have lunch, you have hot food waiting for you. Or you could do it first thing in the morning when you're waking up, put a cup in there with some water, and when you're ready for your coffee, it would be nice and hot. So that's an option. There are several others as well. Now this table here, it is for Dutch oven cooking, and that's what I have right there is a Dutch oven. If you've never used one, they're just wonderful. You can use it like an oven. You can also use it like a skillet, and hot coals go underneath there, charcoal and things, and you put some on top depending on what you're cooking, and then you would put your items in there, and there's a trivet in there that you can use, and that you can use that to cook. So that is one option, but you can use this table for so many things. One of the demonstrations that I did that you'll see in a minute in this video is when I'm using it to wash the dishes, because my kitchen was out of commission and I needed somewhere to wash dishes. Well, this worked perfect with my portable dishwasher, so that would work. But you see here I have a cast iron grill that has legs, and you could put that charcoal underneath there, or you could even do something like this where it has the canned heat, and you could put some of that under there. Whatever you needed to do, you could use these things I'm showing up here. There's just so many things out there nowadays that you can use depending on what you need. So this obviously is for heating up water. There's a little pot with a handle. There's a larger pot. You could use those. So that is an option for you for sure. You could even, if you were in a place that you're allowed to use firewood, you could build a fire under there, and that would work really, really well too. And then there's things like this where it's the portable propane stove. So definitely you'd probably want to keep some propane on hand so that you could use these in a pinch, because again, you don't want to wait until there's an emergency where everybody's electricity is out or something and then try to go get these things, because they're going to be much harder to find, and if you do find them, they're probably going to be more expensive. So better to get them now and just tuck them away in your storage unit or whatever, and then you know that you've got them. When you're going camping or when you're going out, you can of course use disposable plates and things, but if you're going to try to cook, you're most likely going to have some type of dishes. Even if it's just the ones I was showing you where you're cooking on, cooking your meal or something, or heating it up, you're going to need to wash those things out. So as the video you'll see in just a minute where I was demonstrating using these, it brings up a really good point. You want to test out the things that you feel okay, we've got this, we're prepared, we're good to go. And this brought up a really good reason why it's important to test them out before you need them. So in the video, you'll see that I was using this, and this is a disposable dish pan. It collapses down. You can see how much it collapses down, so it's really easy to store. It's even got a little drain hole in there, so it was really, really handy to use for the dishes. It holds 2 gallons of water, 8 or 9 liters of water, so that was great. But then I did not have this one yet, and I was using this, which is also collapsible, but it's a collapsible mixing bowl for the rinse, and I found that it was not big enough. So the dishes were being washed fine, but the rinse wasn't enough. So in trying that out and figuring that out, I went ahead and got a second dish pan. Showing one of our camping preps that we are going to be using. This is the perfect opportunity, I think, to try these out. So this here is actually one of those Dutch oven tables that you can cook with charcoal and all of that. You may have seen those. We've got that to take camping with us to do that. But right now we are in a remodel in the kitchen, so I can't use the sink for a few days. So this here is a dish pan, which I don't know if you can see that with the soap. It's actually got a little plug in the bottom. You can drain the water that way. So this is a collapsible one of those that it's only about that big when it's collapsed. And then this one is a collapsible bowl, so I'm going to use that for the Another one to think about is how will you have light? So there's regular lanterns, the ones that have the flame, but maybe you don't want an open flame. If you would, you want to make sure you probably want to take some extra lamp oil with you just in case. And you want to make sure that you also have some way to light it, which would be the same case with cooking on that camping stove that I was showing you. There's fire starters back there. There's the long ones that you can use like this. There's small lighters, and those are just good to have anyway, just in case. But you can also have lanterns like this that are completely battery operated, and it gets really bright. Now this is a goal zero, so it's a little bit more expensive. When we bought it, it's like $70, but it's really, really helpful because it's got a handle that you can hang on things. It's got legs that you can put down if you want to, but they also fold up. It's got a battery level. You can charge your cell phones or other USB items in there, and then you'll notice it has a USB charger for itself. So remember, our Jackery has one of those plugs, so we can charge this with our Jackery. But if we really needed to, it has a hand crank that just goes round and round, and it will charge it for you that way too. So you don't even have to use any electricity, and you won't be without light. So that's something to think about. And then also maybe one of the fold-up shovels. That's something. Now, I did a whole video on off-grid laundry, or doing laundry if you didn't have electricity and those kind of things. But this is all you would need, would be a big bucket, a small bucket, one of these that you can get. Amazon sells them. You can get them in the antique stores, but they're usually metal, and those can rust. So I would suggest finding one of these if you really wanted to do that. And there, that's how it gets clean. And I can link that video down below too. It was how the Amish save money. And then you'll notice the clothespins. You can go into a camping section and you'll see a clothespin wire that you can take with you. But even if you didn't do that, you could take some clothespins and put your own wire up. So that's something to think about. And then one other consideration before I show you what I think is the biggest item you really need to spend some time on thinking about. For scripture reading today, one of my favorite Psalms, Psalm 121, verses 1 through 3. And I love this because it mentions looking up to the mountains. And I live among the mountains, and every time I read this, I am remembered. The Lord is in charge, and He takes care of us. I hope this is a comfort to you today as well. I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip, for He watches over you. He who watches over you will not slumber. And as always, there are links down below where you can find out more about Jesus and having peace in Him, the peace that passes understanding, peace that you will not find anywhere else, no matter how hard you search. One other quick note before I show you the last tip, and we get to what I think would be the most important consideration for you. You may think you don't need a paper map. We don't use them anymore. We have Google, that kind of thing. Well, I would challenge you to try to get a set, at least for the states that are close to you, in case you would need to go somewhere or you decided to go on a road trip. A lot of places just don't have good cell service. Or sometimes the cell service gets knocked out in an area and you may not even know because it's a storm coming up and you're driving through there and you need to be able to find directions to get somewhere. The paper map doesn't lose power, and it's always there and you can see it. So that's why we have those paper maps, and keep them in there in the waterproof container. All right, the number one consideration I think you should make and spend some time thinking about is what you would shelter in. If you could not be in your house, like my example where we lived in the Midwest and the power went out in the summer and it was just too hot in there, it wasn't safe inside the house. So we stayed in a tent for several days until the electricity people could come and make the repairs that were needed. So if you had to leave your house, if something happened to the home, or a water main broke and it wasn't safe to be in your area, or trees fell from a storm and you couldn't get to your home, anything like that, what would you stay in? Now, again, my husband does lots and lots of research. So for us, he chose the Alaska Guide model tent. because it's a 4-season tent. It has really great reviews. We even saw a video with a man who was in Alaska on Kodiak Island, and there was water running under his tent for several days from storms, and it did not get wet inside. So we chose that one, and then that is a double sleeping bag for us, and that we would put a sleeping mat under it, and that's what we would take with us. So ask yourself, what would you take? What would you need for your family to stay somewhere if you could not stay in your home? That is it for this video on Father's Day. Again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I hope this video has given you and your family and your special loved ones things to think about maybe getting prepared and just having off to the side to have ready in case something happens. Storms, wildfires, whatever's going on in your area. It doesn't have to be a worldwide catastrophe that happens to take our electricity down or take our water away from us and things like that. So hopefully this has helped. If you are enjoying unplugging on these journeys with me and watching these videos, would you please consider subscribing and hitting the bell to be notified when these videos come out? Thank you so much for that. And here are a couple of more videos that hopefully will be enjoyable for you. Thanks so much. See you next time.